What if the thing you're relying on to try to quiet your tinnitus actually made it worse? That's exactly what happened to Sam, a retired pilot who came to see me furious, saying, I bought these hearing aids somewhere else and they made my tinnitus louder. If you've ever felt unsure about hearing aids or scared that they're going to backfire with your tinnitus, you're not alone. That constant ringing, buzzing, or hissing can already wreck your sleep, destroy your focus, and wrap you in anxiety. The last thing you want to do is make it worse. I'm Dr. Layne Garrett, founder of Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus, and today I'm going to show you why this rarely happens, the mistake that causes this, and how to make sure your hearing aids bring you the relief you're looking for and not more noise.
If you're navigating hearing loss or struggling with ringing in your ears, then you've come to the right place. The All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast is your go-to source for expert insights, real stories, and cutting-edge solutions in hearing health. We'll dive into the latest advancements in hearing healthcare, explore groundbreaking treatments for tinnitus, and offer practical tips for better hearing. Here to help you tune into a world of better hearing, here's your host from Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus, Dr. Layne Garrett.
So why should you listen to me here? I'm a doctor of audiology who has specialized in treating tinnitus for over 20 years. My clinic is one of the first modern tinnitus specialty centers in the United States. I hold a certification in tinnitus management from the American Board of Audiology, and my advice isn't just based on scientific research, but it's also based on real-world results of people who have sat in my office looking for a way out of their tinnitus stress. I have helped thousands of people overcome their tinnitus. Now, the fear that hearing aids could make things worse is understandable, but the truth is, it's incredibly rare. Surveys show that only a tiny fraction of people, less than 1%, report this. My goal today is to show you why that might happen and give you the power to make sure you land in the vast majority of patients who find real, significant relief with their hearing aids. So let's get right into it. Can hearing aids actually make tinnitus worse? The short answer is very, very rarely, and usually only for a little while. But let me tell you a little bit more about Sam, that pilot I talked about before. He'd been experiencing tinnitus for years, and he'd gone to other audiologists who fit him with hearing aids, promising him that his tinnitus would get better. He told me he stopped wearing his hearing aids because he felt like the tinnitus just got worse. Turns out, when we checked the programming in his hearing aids with real ear measurements, he had been way over-amplified in some of those higher frequencies, something that happens way more often than people think when hearing aids are not programmed correctly. When he wore his hearing aids, his brain was flooded with high-pitched sounds and it was overwhelming him. We reprogrammed his hearing aids with the proper settings, and within a week, Sam was back in control. He said the tinnitus is there, but it's just background noise instead of that fire alarm in my head. Stories like Sam's are rare, but they do happen, and the good news, they're fixable, often with just a few simple adjustments. So what are the main culprits? First up, and the most common mistake, is over-amplification. Imagine your hearing system is a radio that's been sitting in a dead quiet room. If you suddenly crank the volume to 10, the sound is going to be jarring, distorted, and just plain uncomfortable. The same thing happens with the hearing aid. If they're set too high, especially in certain pitches, it can overwhelm your brain and make your tinnitus feel more intense. This is especially true if you have hyperacusis, which is a sensitivity to everyday sounds. A good audiologist can fix this by fine-tuning the levels to be effective without overwhelming. That's why real ear measurements on hearing aid fitting are so important. The second mistake is an improper fit. Hearing aids aren't one size fits all. If it doesn't sit in your ear right, it can cause a whole host of issues. It can be physically uncomfortable, and that constant irritation can make you focus on your tinnitus even more. A bad fit can also create feedback, that high-pitched whistle that happens when amplified sound leaks out and gets picked up by the microphone again. All that extra noise just adds to the chaos that you're trying to solve. Third, we have to talk about the adjustment period. When you first start wearing hearing aids, your brain is going to get hit with a flood of sounds that it hasn't heard in years. Leaves rustling, the fridge humming, your own footsteps. It can feel deafening at first sometimes. During this phase, which can last anywhere from a few days to a few weeks, your brain is working overtime to figure out this new world of sound. In that initial overload, your tinnitus might seem to pop out a little bit more before it starts to fade into the background. Patience is everything here. And finally, there's the issue of having the wrong type of device. With a lot of people with tinnitus, an open fit hearing aid is the way to go. They don't plug up your ear and allow natural low frequency sounds to come in while the hearing device is just boosting the stuff you've been missing. A closed fit or poorly vented hearing device can create that plugged up feeling known as the occlusion effect, which can make you even more aware of internal sounds, including your tinnitus. Okay, enough about the potential problems. Let's focus on the overwhelming evidence that properly fitted hearing aids are one of the best tools we have to manage tinnitus. Study after study shows a huge majority of people, around 70% or more, get relief with hearing aids, and over 20% report their tinnitus is majorly better. So, how does that work? It's mainly a mix of sound amplification and masking. Almost 90% of tinnitus cases go hand in hand with some level of hearing loss. This creates what we call auditory deprivation. Your brain is starving for sound, and when that world goes quiet, the sound processing neurons in your brain get hyperactive and basically invent their own noise to fill the void. That phantom sound is known as tinnitus. A hearing aid restores the sounds that are missing by amplifying all that subtle ambient sound in your environment. It gives your brain something real to listen to. Suddenly, the hum of a fan or the birds chirping outside are back, and these external sounds essentially cover up the internal ringing and push it from being the star of the show to a background character that you can more easily ignore. It's the difference between hearing a whisper in a silent library and trying to hear the same whisper in a busy cafe. But it's much deeper than just masking. The second mechanism is brain recalibration. By giving your brain consistent sound, your hearing aids can help retrain those overactive pathways. It's a concept called neuroplasticity. Over time, as your brain gets used to a more normal flow of sound again, it can learn to turn down that internal tinnitus signal. This helps reduce the hyperactivity that was causing the tinnitus in the first place, leading to real long-term drop in how loud your tinnitus feels. And finally, never underestimate the power of reduced listening fatigue and stress. When you have hearing loss, your brain is constantly straining to figure out what's being said. It's exhausting, and that mental fatigue and stress are huge triggers for tinnitus. By making it easier to hear, hearing aids cut down on that mental strain. You can join conversations again, feel less isolated, and just relax. This reduction in stress has a direct calming effect on tinnitus. At Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus, we've built Utah's most advanced tinnitus programs because we know relief doesn't come from a single tool. It takes a comprehensive approach that addresses both the ear and the brain. We start with a comprehensive tinnitus focused hearing evaluation. Based on our findings, we can create a customized treatment plan, which may include things like sound therapy, using properly programmed hearing aids, always verified with real ear measurements to make sure your prescription is precise and not too loud like our pilot friend Sam. We may also layer on tinnitus specific programs that provide calming options like soft tones or ocean waves, or personalized background noise that shifts the focus from your tinnitus. For patients needing more advanced solutions, we may choose to also offer Lanier, the FDA-approved bimodal neuromodulation treatment that pairs sound therapy with a gentle tongue stimulation. In fact, a landmark study published in Nature Communications showed that 91% of patients experienced clinically significant relief from their tinnitus when using hearing aids combined with Lanier. But we also know that technology isn't enough. That's why we incorporate cognitive behavioral therapy techniques into our treatment. Our 8-week My Tinnitus Therapy program teaches cognitive behavioral therapy principles that helps retrain how your brain responds to tinnitus, breaking that cycle of stress and hyperfocus that makes the ringing feel louder than it is. And as one of the first modern tinnitus specialty centers, we also incorporate biometric monitoring, giving our patients real data on stress, sleep, and lifestyle factors that can impact their tinnitus. This allows us to personalize care and adjust therapy as needed and give you better control over your progress. In short, our tinnitus program is layered and evidence-based. Verified hearing aids, personalized sound therapy, breakthrough medical treatments like Lanier, cognitive behavioral therapy, counseling, and biometric monitoring. Together, these tools don't just mask tinnitus. They help you retrain your brain, reduce the burden, and take your life back. So, how do you put all of this together and avoid the pitfalls and actually get the relief you're looking for? First, and this is most important, work with a professional who specializes in tinnitus. Not all audiologists have the same deep expertise in this area. You want someone who gets the nuances and who listens to you, someone who's going to use best practices like real ear measurements to make sure your hearing aids are programmed perfectly for your ears, as well as having multiple other treatment options like advanced sound therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, linear and biometric monitoring available to them. Second, you have to be an active partner in this. Your feedback is the most important tool your audiologist has to help you. Be honest. Tell them what's working, what's uncomfortable, and what you're hearing. Those follow up appointments aren't optional. They're absolutely critical for the fine tuning of your tinnitus therapy, whether it is hearing aids or cognitive behavioral therapy or linear. It doesn't matter. And finally, manage your expectations. A complete cure for tinnitus is rare, but significant relief is incredibly common. The goal is to manage the tinnitus so it no longer runs your life. The right hearing aids combined with sound therapy and a supportive audiologist who specializes in tinnitus care can turn that roaring in your head into the whisper that you can finally start to ignore. So back to that original fear. Can hearing aids actually make your tinnitus worse? While the fear is real, the risk is incredibly small and almost always fixable. The much greater risk is letting that fear stop you from trying what is by far one of the most effective tools we have for managing tinnitus. By avoiding the big mistakes, committing to the process, and working with the right professional, you can use hearing aids to quiet the noise and take your life back. Relief isn't just possible, it's likely. To learn more, you can watch this video that goes deeper into treatment options. And if you're here in Utah and would like to schedule an appointment with one of our hearing and tinnitus specialists, you can visit our website, which also includes a learning center full of free resources on tinnitus and hearing loss. And just remember, you don't have to let tinnitus run your life. You do have options.
A world of better hearing and relief from tinnitus is within reach, and we're here to help. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now and join us on the journey to clearer sound and a richer life. Thanks for listening to the All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast with Dr. Layne Garrett. We'll see you next time.